Anyway, so this is the most recent one. I got this from MIT. And you can see that it's only not even a micron thick. So what we do is we look at the best we can do. And these are printable, not the gallium arsenide, as you and I found out. So, so this is John Mankin's alpha. Now, the neat thing is, John Mankin's alpha system has these, each one of these is machined. They're like little ribs in it. This is a beryllium coated one, but this is aluminum, and each one's a little piece of pie, like a little slice of pizza right here. And 6 of them make up one of them, okay? So that's cool, so you can mass produce those, but you still have to launch them and put them up there, and you have to put them together up there too. So, and then they have to be put onto a robotic arm, which is over here, and it's like on the space shuttle, the one that came out and manipulated three-dimensionally in 3 axes on both wrists. So it has that. So it's complicated. This is his numbers. It's his alpha system. Here's what it looks like in one configuration. Of course, these are those sickles of mirrors put together. Here it is again. This was actually in Aviation Weekly. And he says, okay, we need another method of why we're going to put it up there instead of just energy. So, okay, it's mirrors. You're not really going to be transmitting microwave if it's mirrors, right? So, we win. So. Here's more pictures. Oh, there's John. Paul Werbos. Oh, this is being recorded, so. Paul Werbos is really close friends with him. And of course, my friend Dana Rohrabacher is too. And so John was with NASA. You'll see on the website, I put that NASA Space Solar Power. You can see videos on YouTube. And there's 15. John Mankin's helped do 15 different chapters of space solar power, from microwave transmission to collectors to everything. Every single subject of that is from NASA, and this is the guy that did it. So he was a perfect guy to do the book. This was before. This is Dr. Hyland's idea. A bunch of small ones, but back then he didn't come up with this vision of a power star with solar microwave fabric, but he said just do a ton of them and beam them down in different places, multiple places. And here's my buddy. Oh, there he is. Dr. Hyland. He called me today. He unfortunately had a concussion and his blood pressure, his health is not doing well right now, so he might not even be online because he's really got to take care of his health. It's become a pretty important crisis at the moment, and my prayers go to him. And he's going to be turning 70 in the next 3 weeks, I believe, and this time is difficult because his twin sister died not long ago, around this time. So he was a real pillar of helping us put this together. And now we've got to be a lot more self-reliant and allow him to get well and do things without him. So the new plan is, that's why I'm late, because this should have been done. This business plan should have been done already. But I had to study retro-directive microwave energy transmission, which in a week I learned everything I could learn on it. So now I'm done. But that put me back, right? Now I got to write it up because nobody else did. So here's his idea. Here's that thing. Remember, this is the other presentation to space people. This is how it's made. This one is actually this is the one that they do in like 2 meters per second or some ridiculous number in Australia. This is the Unisolar. This is the microwave patch antennas, printed, 3D printed. This is patch antennas, again, printed. This is a Shima Seiki, which is a good weaving material, like for protected grid. When we put it together, we'll put Kevlar together. Now remember, Kevlar, you can't put over steel because it'll actually burnish off the steel. So manipulating fine threads of Kevlar is very complicated unless you've done composites like Kevlar and carbon. Then Kevlar is good because it's totally invisible to microwave energy transmission. So it's beautiful for that, and it's bulletproof. But manipulating it, when you go and weave it together, you have to coat your things your needles with stuff that's totally different because it'll shred it'll just abrasively shred off metal. So, but there's technologies to that. So anyway, these machines all exist. It's not impossible. We just got to take it to the next level. Right? We got to go bam, smack it up a notch. And then it all goes down to this little case right here. And there's a guy standing up, he's about this tall behind it. So it goes into these. So, and then it blows up. Ah, here it is, acoustic time reversal. This talks about it, and in the presentation on the USB, you'll have all the details of acoustic time reversal. Is like sonar bouncing back to you, but actually it hones itself in and picks it exactly where it needs to go, and that's rotor-directive electromagnetic or microwave transmission. So the best way to understand it is through this. So, and these are the patch antennas on top of the silicon cell. We just did this as an image because we didn't have anything else yet. I'm going to have that artist, his name is James Vaughn, he's going to actually do an artist rendering for us that'll make it more explainable. And now that's going to be costing me $3 grand out of pocket. But a picture's worth 1,000 words, so something like that's very valuable. So I'll probably, once we get going, I'll probably hire him full time and I can get 2 pictures a month out of him, which is cool. Because I need him to make movies. Because we got to have movies too. How can you sell it without good videos, right? You got to sell all this stuff with good videos. Like as if it's already there, so it's in their vision. And then, anyway, so beam transmission is retrodirective electromagnetic transmission. The optimal transmission, bar none, 5.8 is about 86% efficient. The best one is 2.4 gigahertz, and that's in a 94% efficiency for microwave transmission, where it doesn't get affected by, clouds don't matter to it, weather doesn't affect it, so the most optimal from space transmitting down is 2.4 gigahertz. Since it's a lot safer, it's a real simple frequency, it's just how much can we pack into that, right? And then if something comes by, it's got to be able to find it and not keep vaporizing. It has to shut itself off, which retrodirective technology does it itself. So anyway, so that's what we're going to use now. See, these were the ones that were used in all the sciences up until this point. Okay, do we use a laser beam? I have one in here where it has lasers beaming it down to this huge old oil platform for desalination off the coast, like the Huntington oil platform. Once it's done, you put this huge collector there and you beam this energy right onto it, which would be like, remember that James Bond movie with that thing that was melting all the ice behind him and cutting stuff? Remember? What was that, GoldenEye? Or no, it wasn't GoldenEye. It was one of those last ones where he was driving that kick butt. She was driving a Jag, he was doing an Aston Martin. Anyway, that guy. Okay, that would be like one of those, okay? It's kind of dangerous. So you have laser beam effects, beam plasma, energy transfer, blah, blah, blah. Retrodirective microwave energy is the way we're going. Don't even have to question it anymore. Anyway, the spectrum is right here. For those who don't know frequencies and stuff. The collectors. This is the coolest part. I didn't talk about this yet. The coolest part of our ground collector system, let me show you a picture of what it was. In his book, The Case for Space Solar Power by John Mankins, he uses these pictures of large collector systems, which are to pick up, these are just giant solar arrays, right? So, and those could be collectors for microwave or whatever you use. Out in the middle of rural areas, right? No. So ours, see what we're doing is this area right here, the grid system, and these areas right here, they have to be protected so that EMP and bullets don't ruin them with protected grid. Protected grid just happens to have microwave and solar cells on it, so it creates its own energy to protect itself and has its own power system built in with lithium polymer batteries stitched right in the bottom. And this can take the energy because it has a microwave pickup, a transceiver, and a transmitter. And because we're going to wrap the grid system with it, when we put our first satellites on it, we can beam it right down to the grid system, already plugged into the grid system of our country. So already have transmission. Should you want to build houses out in nowhere land, out in the desert, out in wherever land, put our material on top of your roof and transmit it, you know? You're done. You don't have to go through all these other ideas anymore. So the coolest thing is protected grid, which is most important for national security. That'll be already on there, and by the time we put our satellites up, we have a place to beam it to. Fantastic. So that's the beauty of our system. It's going to protect, plus it's already going to adapt to the grid system. So we don't have to, how much to transfer our technology and base over to that? It's a piece of cake this way. You want it to be a piece of cake. So, software development. Anyone that's done this before knows it's long, tedious, a lot of money. I'm not going to say anything more because we know it takes a lot of work. Turnkey integration. That's where the rubber hits the road. Is making all this stuff work together. The suppliers, making sure the base materials that we choose, we have to make sure that there's a stream down the road that can actually provide us the materials that we make this stuff with. And I'm sorry, I'm running a little late. I'll be done in about 5-10 minutes. Is that cool? Okay. So, for instance, I was doing a future combat systems, and we were going to make, you know, thousands upon thousands of tanks, and I was leading the material source of what our entire tank was going to be made out of for the raw material, for its raw materials. We were looking at composites, aluminum, possibly steel, and titanium for light to weight and strength. Anyway, so titanium mostly is found in Russia, some in Canada. Truthfully, the Dakotas have a ton of titanium, we just don't mine it yet. So, and Canada has it too, up in that area. So the Army said, okay, whatever comes out of this, based on what's the best thing we can do, whatever comes out of this, we'll actually open up mines to create titanium manufacturing in the Dakotas if that's the best plan, to provide us, to make all the tanks we have to do for the future. So, what I'm getting at is, if we find out there's certain materials that are really important for making the solar cell antennas, some of the gold for the different printed circuit boards that are in here, whatever's in here, base materials, we have to make sure that the downstream base elements are something that's sustainable, that we can actually get and not run out of. Because Indonesia used to be the only place you could get a lot of the lithium for lithium batteries. Well, the largest, just like titanium, the largest mine of lithium in the world is in the Dakotas also. So, but bigger than all the other places. But people didn't know that either. And it wasn't just Indonesia, but it was another one called Ecuador. Ecuador is the other place. So anyway, you have to look at that. Suppliers, materials, bases, and then also, if we're going to do satellites, we have to make all the specs for it and the plan for it, but we want the Boeings and other people like Northrop to help us with it. We can't do it all on ourselves, and we shouldn't try to. We should use our industry base to our best advantage. So, but we're not going to be the bitches, right? I've been there before. We don't want to be that way. So you got to lead them with logic and knowledge. So anyway, that's what we have to do. Now, I was talking about the weather. I'm trying to get through this now. Weather, you can see each one of these have a frequency, okay? 0.6 of a hertz frequencies. Nothing to rain, to snow, to sleet, so on. There's this movie right here, and it explains all the details of weather and the frequency of it. Since we can manipulate frequencies, and we can overlap them. And then you know the jet streams that are on Earth, and you know the way the Earth is rotating and at what speed, and you know what the speed of every different level of a jet stream is at different times of the year, because you're measuring it now. You'll be able to do that. So that way, if you want to open up a hole in a bunch of clouds, you can do this. Wouldn't it be cool? Be able to write your name in it that way? So anyway, there's a lot of cool things you can do. The other thing is tractor beams, so you can transmit and have space evolution and keep pushing you out into space and do great things out there. So, the desalination. This is a basic schematic of how you do it. It used to have controlling mirrors, but now it'd just be antennas to beam down the energy to it. And then you take that energy and you convert it into a way that you can desalinate with boiling. So, this was one of the, Ohio State was leading the space environmental technology, and this was, remember, the oil platform? And this was to supply Los Angeles with desalinated water. So, which Long Beach does already, because we make oil. So, well, we refine the oil, we grab it out of our water, underground, and then we refine it right over here. So, the benefit is we get to make desalinated water just because we have to refine it. So, we take that steam and do something with it. We make salt and water. That's good. So anyway, this is a team that does desalination. When we go into this avenue of desalination, I'll be using people like this that help us with it. And then, for those who didn't know about numbers, this is always a cool chart. And we're going back to these numbers. If you look at what we spend in defense, $739 billion in 2011, and look at all the countries combined, are almost half. It's still that way today. So, anyway, people don't realize the money. And remember, this becomes a defense system too, inevitably. Also. And then, anyway, this is the future. These are just notes. Overcoming population growth and feeding us all, and handling disease, and blah, blah, blah. So, $2 trillion a year is what we're going to make it into, and then inevitably give it to, have some of it evolve over. We'll still be the supplier, but we should give it back to our government. So, not as a government, but a separate profit center, a spin-off. So, that's our goal. Next thing to do, like I said, oh wait. That's all we have for tonight, guys. And their phone number. I'll make sure I get a nice updated slideshow with this buoy and all the technologies I discussed here. Too much to grasp at once. I'll make sure I get it to you, and we're good to go. Thank you all for all your time and taking time out of your own busy schedule, paying your own way over here, paying you to be here. I didn't get to, you did it all on your own, and I really appreciate it, because believe me, the future's so bright you gotta wear shades. Just not tonight. So, thank you again.